Laws for unintentional sin. Now, when you utterly fail and do not do all these commandments, the Lord spoke to Moses, as the Lord ordered you by the hand of Moses from the day the Lord ordered you and onward throughout your generations. Then it will be, if it happened involuntarily out of sight of the congregation, the whole congregation shall offer one young bull without blemish from the oxen for a whole burnt offering, for a sweet aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and its drink offering, according to the ordinance, and one male kid from the goats for a sin offering. So the priest shall make atonement for the whole congregation of the children of Israel, and it shall be remitted them. For it was involuntary. They shall bring their gift, a burnt offering, to the Lord, as their sin offering before the Lord concerning their voluntary sin. So it shall be remitted for the whole congregation of the children of Israel and the resident alien who dwells among them, because all the people did it involuntarily. Now, if a soul should sin involuntarily, he shall bring a female goat in its first year for a sin offering. So a priest shall make atonement for the soul who acts involuntarily and sins involuntarily before the Lord to make atonement for him. As for anyone who may have acted involuntarily, there shall be one law, both for the native born among the children of Israel and for the resident alien who dwells among them. But the soul who may do something with a hand of arrogance, whether he is a native born or a resident alien, that one is provoking God. And he shall be utterly destroyed among his people, because he despised the word of the Lord and broke his commandments. That soul shall be destroyed. His guilt shall be upon him. Penalty for Sabbath breaking. Now, while the children of Israel were in the desert, they found a man gathering wood on the Sabbath day. So those who found him gathering wood on the Sabbath day brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of children of Israel. They put him under guard because they had not decided what to do with him. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Let the man be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones." So, as the Lord ordered Moses, all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him with stones. Tassels on vestments. Again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them to make tassels for themselves on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and put a blue thread in the tassels of the corners. Then it shall be, you shall have the tassels, and you shall look upon these and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them. And you shall not turn aside after your minds and your eyes, by which you prostitute yourselves, and may remember and may do all my commandments, and be holy for your God. I am the Lord your God, who brings you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God." Rebellion against Moses and Aaron. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abram, the sons of Eliab, and Anna, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben, spoke. And they rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 men of the children of Israel, rulers of the congregation, chosen members of the council, and men of note. They gathered together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "Let it be understood by you that all the congregation are holy ones, and the Lord is in them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the congregation of the Lord?" So when Moses heard this, he fell on his face, and he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, "God examines and knows those who are his and who are his holy ones, and he brings them to himself. and those he chooses for himself, he brings to himself. Do this. Take censers, Korah, and all his company, put fire and incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man the Lord chooses. This is the Holy One, and let this be sufficient for you, O sons of Levi. Then Moses said to Korah, hear me, your sons of Levi, is this a small thing to you, that the God of Israel separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to serve the liturgies of the Lord's tabernacle, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And he brought you near, you and all your brethren and the sons of Levi with you. Are you seeking the priesthood also? Thus, you and all your company brought together are against God. Furthermore, who is Aaron, that you murmur against him? Then Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, we will not come up. Is this a small thing, that you brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert, and set yourself over us as a ruler? Even if you should bring us into a land flowing with milk and honey, and give us an inheritance of the field and vineyards, you would put out the eyes of these men. We will not come up. Then Moses was very heavy of spirit and said to the Lord, may you pay no attention to their sacrifice. I have not taken a desirable object from any of them, nor have I harmed any of them. Then Moses said to Korah, sanctify your company and be ready tomorrow before the Lord, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take his censer, put incense in it, and bring his censer before the Lord. 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer. So every man took his censer, put fire in it, had incense, laid incense on it, and stood at the doors of the tabernacle of testimony with Moses and Aaron. Thus Korah gathered all his company against them at the door of the tabernacle of testimony. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. The Lord then spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, and I will utterly destroy them at once. Then they fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, if one man sin, will the Lord's anger be on all the congregation? Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the congregation, saying, withdraw from around Korah's company. Moses then rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel went together with him. Then he spoke to the congregation, saying, get away from the tents of these callous men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you perish together with them in all their sin. So they got away from around Korah's tent, and Dathan and Abiram went and stood at the doors of their tents with their wives, their children, and their little ones. Then Moses said, by this you shall know the Lord sent me to do all these works, and they are not from myself. If these men should die naturally, like all men, or if they are visited by the common visitation of all men, then the Lord has not sent me. But the Lord will show by a sign from heaven that opening its mouth, the earth shall swallow them down with their houses, their tents, and everything belonging to them, and they shall go down alive into Hades. Then you shall know these men provoked the Lord. Now, as he finished speaking all these words, the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened and swallowed them down with their houses, and all the men with Korah and all their tents. So they and all with them went down alive into Hades, and the earth covered them, and they perished from the midst of the congregation. Then all Israel around them fled at their cry, for they were saying, lest the earth also swallow us down. Fire also came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men offering incense. Notes from the previous page. 16, 1 and 2. Korah rose up before Moses. Scripture calls this the rebellion of Korah, Jude 11. He was a Levite and therefore a member of the clergy. He also influenced 250 laity, who were rulers of the congregation, chosen members of the council, and men of note. This was no small-time rebellion. 16, 3, 4. The rebels accused Moses and Aaron of self-exaltation, the very sin of which they themselves were guilty. Self-exaltation is vainglory, the root of all sins. Moses, on the other hand, fell on his face, for he is the most humble man in all the earth. It is fine to be praised by another, but not by oneself. Let your neighbor praise you, and not your own mouth. A stranger, and not your own lips. Proverbs 27, 2. However, one is tested when praised by others, but a man is tested by the mouth of those who praise him. Proverbs 27, 22. Korah, however, failed this test, for he loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. John 12, 43. 16, 22 through 24. Moses raised a crucial question before the Lord. If one man sinned, will the Lord's anger be on all the congregation? The Lord's answer was clear. Withdraw from around Korah's company. In other words, the Lord's answer was no. Furthermore, Korah's sons were guilty because of their father's sin, for they did not perish with him. 26:11. Moses' question, the Lord's answer, and the longevity of Korah's sons refute the false doctrine of original sin. This evil doctrine teaches that Adam's offspring, all mankind, are guilty before God because of their father's transgression. This teaching is false, because each man is guilty before God for his own transgressions. That's interesting at the end. Okay, so Moses' question and the Lord's answer, and the longevity of Korah's sons refute the false doctrine of original sin. This evil doctrine teaches that Adam's offspring, all mankind, are guilty before God because of their father's transgression. This teaching is false because each man is guilty before God for his own transgressions. Original sin is a very prominent Western teaching, especially in the Catholic Church, because we're all judged individually at the end. We're not judged for anyone's past sins who have not come against us, or that we have not done. So it's one of those things where original sin is a very tedious subject. It's a very strange thing to be blamed for somebody else's sins. Obviously, the sins of the father is kind of a big teaching in the West, but in Orthodox theology and teaching just doesn't work, because we cannot be blamed for somebody else's sins, whether voluntary or involuntarily. And original sin presupposes the fact that we're all born from sin. We're all born into sin because of Adam's sin. This is just simply not true. However, we live in a fallen world and we do sin. But as the common Orthodox teaching is that children, animals are innocent because of, their nature. They don't, they're innocent. They don't know, they're just relying on instinct and, doing what they have to do to survive to grow to adulthood. Animals in particular don't sin because they only have one nature. Whereas human beings, we have two natures. So eventually, we grow up and things get complicated. But when it comes to outright original sin, that is something the Catholic Church really likes to teach and to harp on. But then again, we can't be responsible for somebody else's sin when they sin against God.